my name is Kathy, and you have reached me at my sewing practice. Hi, welcome. This is my station where I have content all around sewing and mostly fashion sewing. And today I'm going to focus on 3 chore jackets. Okay, we're getting into fall now, right? You're hearing those buses, the squeaky brakes. We're waking up and it's a little bit nippy, and we're starting to think about our gardens, and maybe we need to start thinking about how we're going to put them to bed for the winter. Maybe you're going to go to your local farm and pick some apples and some pumpkins and corn if it's still around. I guess it's not. And then after that, we're going to come in the house and we're going to have that hot chocolate or that cider, and we're going to take off our jacket, and this fantasy self, we're going to think about what is that jacket that we are going to take off. So I have got 3 jackets I am going to feature today. The first one is going to be our stacker jacket. That's by Papercut Patterns in New Zealand. Next, we're going to talk about the September coat, and it is from Merchant & Mills in England. And the last independent company that we are going to feature is Friday Pattern Company, and they give us the Ilford jacket. So I'm going to start with the one I sewed first, and that is this jacket. And it is called the stacker jacket. This is a lined jacket. It has a curved sleeve, but it's a straight sleeve. There's no cuff. It has a collar with a little bit of a rounded corner. And it has another variation where you can put a big patch pocket down the front, whereas this is a pocket flap with a little bit of an inseam pocket here in the yoke, which I can't show you because it's lined. And the back also has a yoke. And the lining pieces are separate, and there's a jump pleat there. And they are sewn into the bottom. And although it's hard to kind of see, it has a little bit of a balloon shape. And I'm going to show you the pattern pieces here. But I know you're dying to see how it looks on, and I want to show you. But I have to be real careful of this microphone. Okay, so I've put it on for you. And as you can see, I made the sleeves plenty long. And it has a little bit of like a bubble, I call it, here. And my hands automatically go to these phantom pockets that are not here. So that is one modification I would like to make, and I did make. And the other is that for whatever reason, it's just a little tight across that yoke seam. And of course, with this thin shirt I have on now, and if I'm standing up straight, it feels great. But if you go to drive, and especially if you have something else, it's just really tight right here. So what I did is I made another one. So last spring, I found this tweed type fabric when I was out of town. And I used it to make this rendition. And it's the same except for I made some pocket changes. I did not add the flaps here, and I drafted myself a welt pocket. Now, the tutorial I used for the welt pocket was probably for a back pocket on a pair of slacks, so it's really not big enough. So I did mess that up a little bit, but you definitely want to put some kind of pocket in the front. But this one fits great. And let me pause the video and I'll put it on for you. So this is what it looks like unbuttoned. I'll button it up a little bit. Let me turn for you. And this pattern comes from a bust size of 30 inches to 46 inches, and a waist of 22 inches to 38 inches. And apparently those are UK sizes 1 to 8, and New Zealand sizes 6 to 20. I think I'm wrong about those sizes. I think those are Papercut sizes 1 to 8. New Zealand sizes 6 to 20. And that's what the pattern cover looks like. And there's your line drawings. So this says it's a jacket of all trades. This is your everyday utility button-up cropped boxy fit with a choice of flapped inseam pockets or oversized patch pockets to carry all your essentials. The stacker is fully lined and features a drop shoulder and a classic collar. It's as versatile as a Swiss Army knife, really. And what attracted me to this jacket is not only do I like the idea of being lined at the time, because I'm always trying to improve my sewing, but I also like a traditional collar. So all three of my utility jackets are going to have that traditional collar. They're not going to have a stand-up collar. Okay, I'm going to very carefully take this off, and I'll edit this out if it doesn't work. The next jacket I'm going to talk to you about is the Ilford jacket. And the Ilford jacket I made in corduroy. Okay, so this is my most recent make. I don't even have buttons on it yet. After this video, I'm going to go finish buying the buttons. But because it's a boxy fit and it's a utility jacket and it's button up and it has a classic collar and a drop shoulder, I thought it was very similar to the stacker jacket. And so I bought it. I don't even know why. I think it was really just that I was seduced by the marketing. It was just, it looks so good. And this company is a very nice company, Pattern Company, Friday Pattern Company, I got it. And they will not only walk you through the process completely online in their tutorials, but they will also give you a free pattern if you want to practice tower plackets, and all kinds of free pocket pattern pieces. Now, unlike the stacker jacket, this one is not lined. And so there's our first difference. It is much more size inclusive. It starts at a waist of 24 to 25. It goes all the way up to a 7X, which is a waist of 52 to 53. And the corresponding chest measurements are 32 to 60. Now, this is a jacket that can either be made for a man or a woman. It's the same pattern pieces, though. And I chose an XL. Let me tell you those sizes. The XL is a chest of 40, and a waist of 33 and hips of 42, which is, my waist is bigger than that, but since it's a straight cut, I knew it would be okay. But what I had done is I had made like just a really quick and dirty muslin trial for my husband. And I made it in the 1XL. So it goes XL, XXL, 1XL. And it just wasn't going to fit him at all. It just was like across the shoulders. It just, no way, Jose. So I took the pattern pieces and I just trimmed them down to an XL. So I can't show you those pattern pieces, but he's a gentleman that's rather on the large side. I mean, he's 6'4" and weighs like 40 more pounds than me. And, you know, it's just not going to fit him. But I would say an average size guy, you know, you could definitely give it a try. Now, I'm going to just give you two things to talk about as far as when I constructed this jacket. One is that I used a needle board when I pressed because it's corduroy. And boy, that thing was great. I mean, I don't have a single mark, you know. And of course, I respected my nap. But the other thing is that I used this cord when I made my buttonholes. And what that did was allowed them to pop up just a little bit. I started with white cord, and they kind of see a little bit, so I'm going to have to go back with a marker. But then I found this in my stash, and I used it. And you just put it under the zigzag bead that's getting formed. And my presser foot for buttons has a little place where you can kind of put that, and it all works out great. Now, if I was to make this again, I would not make this sleeve variation unless I was making a shacket, which I think this would translate to a shacket very well, because it does have this tower placket. Now, I could tell that this was going to be a lot of bulk, and that's why I switched to this little thin fabric that I had in my stash for the tower placket. Okay, so now I thought you might be interested in seeing the differences between the stacker and the ilford, because in my mind they were very similar. So I'm going to give you a couple twirls. I obviously did not need to extend my sleeves, but I will give you a couple twirls, and then I'm going to take it off so I can talk about the differences. So I feel like I got the fit just right, and I feel like it made up really, for a jacket, it made up pretty quick. It just has a collar on the body of the jacket. There's no collar stand. There's no fancy facing. You just fold it under. These pockets are perfect. Yeah, so that's it. So let me take this off. Okay, so I'm going to compare the pattern pieces of the Ilford boxy jacket to the stacker jacket by Papercut Patterns. Bear with me. If this doesn't interest you, you can skip to the last one, but the last one's best, so don't tune out. Okay, so what happened was the first rendition of my stacker jacket was tight across the shoulders. So I added this much to it. And that's the yoke piece. And then if we're going to compare, this is your back piece of your ilford jacket. And see how there's just a straight line, very boxy. And since it's a drop sleeve, there's no shape in the arm side. And this is where your fold is when you're cutting out your back piece. Just going to drop that. Okay, in comparison with the stacker, it's got shaping along the side, a little bit of a curve. I've got two pieces here because, as you know, I needed to add a little bit. So the one in front is my original, and then here's a little bit I added. And again, this is cut on the fold, but see, there is that yoke on top, so that part is different. And then if we go to the front, we're going to see that this is the separate lining piece for the stacker. And then if you were to pin the yoke to the body of the coat, you'd get this shape. And again, it's a nice curve cut out on arm side. There's shaping here. And even though it's dropped, there's some shaping there. And then this is the extension that goes into the lining. And as you can see, the facing is going to attach clear up into the shoulder seam, whereas on the ilford, it's just a turnover buck and placket. So that's the front. Here's the corresponding lining piece of the stacker. And in comparison, this is what the ilford jacket pattern piece looks like. And again, you just fold this under right here for the button placket, and the front, again, has no shaping for the arm side. This placket I wanted to show you pattern is available free online for the Friday Pattern Company if for some reason you would want to practice making tower plackets. Okay, and then lastly, we have the sleeve. And this is the drop sleeve of the Ilford, which is a little slim. Like I said, I would next time make the straight one probably, unless I was making a shacket. And then this is the very tailored sleeve of the other stacker. And it's like a two-piece that has been fused together. And this is like where it attaches underarm. So this seam actually goes like here. And then this is the top of your arm side. Okay, so that's the comparison of the pattern pieces. Now, lastly, I'm going to talk about the September coat. And it is September, la la. But I made this late spring last year, and so I did not line it. Now, the September coat is made by Merchant and Mills, and it's described as overcoat meets duster. A coat for striding through town or country with purpose. Choose to make either lined or unlined. And speaking of lines, I'll show you the line drawing. So as you can see, it's still boxy, but it has a raglan sleeve, and it still has a traditional collar, and the pockets, they've got theirs angled, but there's 3 showing, and then there's also an inseam pocket right there. Their sizes go from 6 to 18 UK, and that translates to a bust of 30 3/4 inches to a bust of 41 3/4 inches. And a waist is not very applicable because it goes straight down, but it's 24 inches to 35 inches, and the hips are 34 inches to 45. Now, that is anything but size inclusive. But I will say, I probably, in a way, should have been in like the 18 size, which is the largest. And I made the 14, and it's still plenty big. So you definitely can size down, but the sizing is not inclusive when I made this. Okay. So I love this jacket though. Like I was saying, I made it in spring, and I had just bought this fabric and I didn't have enough. So I did a lot of substituting with whimsical fabrics. The undercollar is on a contrasting fabric, and even the collar stands in 2 different fabrics. And I did Hong Kong finishes because I was trying to make this be like a coat that I would have forever. And I used just whimsical bias tape that I had in my stash. Some were made from silk ties and some not. This is my inseam pocket I made from a different fabric. But I loved how this fabric presented itself with these lines, because I think it kind of gives you a feel of wax canvas or perhaps leather. The sleeve is a 2-piece sleeve. There is a seam going down, so it's like a traditional overcoat or top coat. And then this cuffing is part of the pattern. So your sleeve pattern, it goes on for miles because you have to have enough to cuff it under. And what else can I tell you? The facings are pretty much like how you would expect. They turn under and go into the shoulder seam. And again, I chose not to line it. I did feel like the shoulders were a little bit droopy on me, so I did add these shoulder pads. And I love this jacket. Now, it's designed for women, but I contacted Merchant & Mills, and they thought that I could easily make it for my husband if I just found the correct size and perhaps did a broad back adjustment, which I think I'll do. As a matter of fact, I tiled this pattern piece together because I bought it in PDF. And it was kind of a nightmare tiling it together. I don't know why I thought to do that. So I've ordered the pattern again for my husband. Now, I actually have a video on this jacket. It's my second ever video. So I guess I don't need to say much more about it because you can refer to that video. But I really look forward to wearing this again this fall. And it's roomy enough, even though I sized down twice. It's the roomiest of all these. And I could easily put another like athletic jacket or hoodie under this and have my layers. So another feature of this one is that it has a vent. So anyway, all right, so today I reviewed the Stacker, the Ilford, and the September Chore coats. And I very much compared the Stacker and the Ilford, and I even showed you the pattern pieces because they present similar, but they're really very much different. And I hope that was helpful for you when you are starting to form your fall autumn wardrobe. Have a great day. Bye-bye.